And our country has become, and our economy has become so weak that President Trump unjustifiably and wrongly threatens us with tariffs and worse. My friends, we will not put up with this any longer. Canada needs change. Common sense conservatives will bring that change and put Canada first.
I heard again from Poilievre today his plan to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Everyone, do your part. Vote in the next election. Let's bring it home.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in London, Ontario, and I'm now inside RBC Place for the Pierre Poilievre rally, namely Bring It Home rally is the title of it. And as you can see, folks, standing room only. The venue is jam-packed and is full of friendly folk. Unlike those transgender demonstrators across the street, no one's assaulting me unless you call getting hugged an assault. So we're going to now see what Mr. Poilievre has to say. I'm sure it's going to be a warm reception. Let's check it out.
We will bring it home. 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 We will bring home our jobs, our resources, and our political power. We will put Canadians back in charge of their lives. No longer will a global elite serve itself at our expense. Our people will come first. I will ban all of my ministers from any involvement in the World Economic Forum.
There must have been at least 500 of us. I would say at least. I'm not a good guess of numbers, but no media covering how many people were outside. But
you know, that's fascinating because there must have been at least a couple of thousand inside. I'm not good with estimating numbers either. But I guess, you know, one of the key questions a few months ago, the polls were indicating it looks like a conservative landslide. Now there are several polls that recently show it's a horse race, maybe a photo finish. First of all, do you believe in the accuracy of those polls?
no, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to believe about that. But
Well, folks, I'm with Colin. I can see by your T-shirt, Protect Hunters. Colin, Parliament has been prorogued, and yet on Friday, yet another gun grab, 179 firearms confiscated. The government's not even sitting, although sometimes it seems like it is. Obviously, you are part of the hunting community, and Mr. Poilievre said they were going to repeal the gun grab.
After 10 years of Trudeau and Carney allowing gun smugglers and criminals to run wild while they ban Grandpa Joe's hunting rifle, what do we have? 119% increase in gun crime. I will do precisely the opposite. We will allow our hunters and our licensed professional sport shooters to safely enjoy their property while we lock up the criminals and lock down the border.
Is that primarily why you are going to vote Conservative?
That is my reason for voting Conservative, yes. Okay. I'm a licensed and law-abiding hunter and sport shooter. And after 10 years of attacks by this Liberal Trudeau-Carney government, we need to bring home a common sense government that will protect hunters and put Canada first.
Well, folks, I'm with Kim. And Kim, we're asking people, what was the most resonating part of Pierre Poilievre's speech that just wrapped up?
For me, it's free speech, because our free speech is being trampled. I guess carbon tax.
Yep.
That's pretty much what puts our economy in the toilet.
Yep.
Printing money like there's no tomorrow. He's like burning the furniture on his way out, which I think is kind of lousy. And that's why we don't have buying power anymore.
And you know, Kim, let's talk about the free speech angle, because he actually said, we're not going to be tearing down statues anymore.
Let's end the cancel culture that knocks down our statues and takes down our...
That part of cancel culture and revisionist history. And you know, it was very odd. We had members of the transgender community having a counter demonstration here today. They were, I think, defaming Mr. Poilievre, calling him a Nazi, calling him a pedophile. These people are always asking for tolerance, but they seem to be the most intolerant people of all. They're all about embracing cancel culture. If you have a divergent opinion to them, why is that?
The way I see it, the left tends to call names what they're guilty of.
Yeah.
They do it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
And you know, they're doing this with one finger and all the other fingers are pointing back at them. You know, they say you're racist.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, what are they doing? They're saying, oh, you know, if you're not brown and if you're not in a wheelchair and if you're not LGBTQ,
Yeah.
then we're not going to hire you. You've got to wait in line because we're going to give preferential treatment. And I don't think that in itself is discriminatory. We lived in a world where you didn't look at color, you didn't look at race, you didn't look at sexual orientation. You looked at their worth, how what they could do.
Hey folks, I'm with John Brown. He is the EDA president for the Waterloo riding. Well, you are a party insider, so let me ask you, what kind of feedback were you getting from, people just attending on their own volition? What were they saying about Mr. Poilievre's speech?
Oh, it was very positive. I mean, it just shows you that the Liberal government, and especially Mr. Carney, is lying to the public, is saying that, yeah, I'm just like the Conservative Party now, so I'm going to get rid of the carbon tax, and I'm going to be tougher on crime. I'm going to build the houses. Wasn't that everything that Pierre's been saying? But everything that the Liberals have done is counterintuitive to that. So now he's going to go into an election. So he needs to. That's resonated with the public. That's why there was such a huge differential in the polls. Now all of a sudden, Trudeau is gone or almost gone. So therefore, he takes it up. So he said, "Well, I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this." But he's the one that said, when it talks about the carbon tax, well, carbon tax was too low. We should have had it up even higher.
Now, so far, carbon prices have been applied sparingly. They've been set far too low, in the single digits on average globally, well short of the estimated $80 to $100 a ton needed by the end of this decade to keep us on track to net zero.
Now, all of a sudden, he doesn't want a carbon tax. So, you have to read through it. So I think Pierre did a really great job on positioning that to say, here's what the Conservatives stand for, here's what the Liberals stand for.
Careful, everybody, because sneaky Mark Carney's going to try and pull a fast one on you. Here's what he's got planned. I'm making a prediction. Are you listening? Next week, he's going to hide the carbon tax. He's going to tell his environment minister to leave the carbon tax law in place, but just stop collecting it for a few months until the election is over. And then he'll bring in an even bigger shadow carbon tax. That's what his plan is. By the way, I didn't come up with that term. He did.
One of the things Mr. Poilievre said today was, he kept referring to Mark Carney as sneaky Mark Carney. I think that's a descriptor that belongs to Patrick Brown. I don't know if he has a trademark on that. But he said, you just watch in the weeks ahead, they will suspend the carbon tax temporarily. And then should Mark Carney win the election, bring back a shadow carbon tax that'll be even higher than the current carbon tax. Do you think that's likely?
Yeah, and it's probably very likely because he seems to be on board with a lot of the hikes that Trudeau was trying to push, right?
Yes.
So,
all right.
Carney is a great name. Carney is a great name, yeah.
Well, first of all of Trudeau's bans on licensed law-abiding hunters is 100% politically driven. It has nothing to do with public safety. So while the Trudeau-Carney government attacks licensed hunters, at the same time, they create laws to let repeat violent offenders out on bail. So they're putting these dangerous repeat offenders out on the street to harm law-abiding citizens like you and I. Meanwhile, they're attacking me. I have a license to own firearms as a law-abiding hunter. I get a background check every single day.
Every day.
Every day.
Wow.
If I commit a crime, the police will be at my door within 24 hours.
Are they an upgrade from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
No, downgrade.
Wow.
Because you know what? I'm sorry. He might be a businessman, but he's not a politician.
Yeah.
He's been caught in lies,
Yeah.
big time, like in 1 week.
Yeah.
He's obviously the string puller. He's higher up, so he's more crooked than the puppet that was in power. So I'm sorry. In my opinion, we're going from bad to worse. Corruption's building.
It's just a shell game. That's all he's doing is a shell game.
Yeah.
And that'll be after the election. So he's going to say, hey, Helvia doesn't have to talk about axing the tax because I'm not going to have a tax.
He said, don't worry, it'll just apply on places like steel mills. He asked a journalist the other day, really, you won't pay any more. When was the last time you bought steel? Did anybody come here in a car?
I heard again from Poilievre today his plan to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Everyone, do your part, vote in the next election, let's bring it home.
There's a lot of people that were Trudeau haters, okay? And so when you were up at 44, 46%, they're not all people that, hey, I think the Conservative Party is the answer. It's because I hate Trudeau, and so therefore, who do I vote for if I'm not going to vote Liberal? So now when there's all of a sudden he resigns, those people are gravitating back. Now that's only a smaller percentage, because if you look at the actual percentage, the Conservatives have only gone down about 4 or 5%. You have to consider probably that 4 to 5% is those people that were just Trudeau haters.
We will go from being a nation of tax collectors and toll masters, of bureaucrats and busybodies, of gatekeepers and grandees, of rulers and rule makers. Instead, we will be a nation of explorers and entrepreneurs, of adventurers and artists, of workers and warriors, of patriots and hard-working fellow citizens. My friends, we are going to restore the promise of Canada, that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house on a safe street, wrapped in the protective arms of solid borders and brave troops under a proud flag. Canada, let's bring it home!
Well, folks, it was such a rousing speech. Certainly a lot more attended and a lot more exciting than Mark Carney last week, who went to a tiny bakery in Bradford, Ontario. We have had almost 10 years of hardship under the Justin Trudeau Liberals. And I can tell you, folks, Mr. Poilievre's words today certainly resonated. Now we'll see in the weeks and months ahead, when the federal election is called, if Mr. Poilievre will indeed have the mandate to bring it home. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Well, folks, enough is enough. This Parliament has been prorogued since January. It won't resume sitting until the end of March. Let's cut to the chase, as they say in Hollywood. Call the election. And please go to our website, calltheelection.ca. That's calltheelection.ca. Let's tell the Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney Liberals that enough is enough. It's time to go to the polls.